Hello out there to the Millionaire by Morning listeners. We have a topic of discussion today that you're really going to enjoy. And that topic is building a business with your loved one.
Yes.
We have Casper with us today. Casper served in the U.S. Air Force for 14 years as a weapons and communication specialist. For over 30 years, he worked in the marketing and direct sales industries, conducting personal and professional development seminars and training. For over 20 years, he worked as a corporate trainer, conducting hardware and software workshops in over 5 countries around the world. Casper also happens to speak conversational French. Cheryl, his wife, who is on the podcast with him, who is in business with him and his business partner, has 30 years of administration, customer service, sales training, human resources, and management experience. She has 15 plus years of direct sales and marketing experience. Cheryl has developed sales and marketing presentations and training curriculum and has conducted many hours of classroom and boardroom training. She is not with us today, but Casper will be speaking on her behalf. I Am Love Builders is a company formed by Casper and Cheryl Stockham, located in beautiful Colorado. For over 14 years, Casper and Cheryl have been working as workshop facilitators and coaches using their own developed relationship materials. We have a passion to help and encourage married couples, and we continue to facilitate both in-person and virtual married couples groups. We will expand our teaching courses and establish workshops and retreats for married couples throughout the world. Casper,
Yes, sir.
Founder of I Am Love Builders. Welcome to the show today.
Man, it's good to be with you, Rashad. I really appreciate the opportunity to visit with you and your listeners.
Thanks a lot, man. We're glad to have you. This is one topic that we have not touched on and have not discussed. And I must say, me, being a person that is married, being a person that operates businesses with my wife,
yes,
I know that this is something that's needed. We've never even ran across anything of this caliber that kind of teaches or shows people, coaches, married couples, how to utilize love, how to be in love, engage in love, and build a business.
Yeah.
But you have done that. What made you even want to do that?
Well, we're doing it, and one of the things about being in business and having partners is that there's a lot of similarities in marriage, in business partner relationships and marriages. In both cases, there's give and take, there's listening, there's good communication skills needed. There's the aspect of one partner being strong in one area and the other partner being strong in the other area. Like maybe one partner is really good as the front person, the person that's out front doing the sales, if you will, doing all the media stuff. And the other partner is in the background, kind of handling the technical aspects or running the office, things like that. So all those dynamics come into play with business partnerships, but they definitely come into play with a marriage. And in a marriage situation, not only do you have the communication part of it, but you also have the physical part of it, to where you're actually partnered with someone you're going to be with for the rest of your life, right? In a business partnership, maybe after 10 years or 15 years or whatever, maybe you sell the business or whatever, but you don't sell your marriage. Marriage is permanent. Or at least it should be. It should be permanent. So you have to figure this thing out and make sure you figure it out in a way to where you're growing, it's healthy, you're thriving. And at the end of the day, you need to make enough money to survive and do well, right? So all those dynamics come into play. And that's what my wife and I are excited to be able to share. And we even put a lot of this in our book. And it's called Divorce Proofing Your Marriage. I have a quick copy of it I can show you right there.
Okay.
Divorce Proofing Your Marriage. It just launched in August, and we hit the hot new release list on Amazon for a quick second. But we're going to be back on that list, high on the list here shortly. We have a PR firm helping us. So we're just excited about all these things, all these dynamics coming together.
How long have you and your wife been at this?
So we have been doing coaching and training for over 14 years. We just celebrated our 21st anniversary last month. So we've been married for 21 years. Well, 14 of that 20, we've been doing this kind of work. We started out with a grant from the government, and we were part of another organization, and we were traveling around Colorado doing workshops for couples. And over the course of 8 years or so, we probably trained thousands of different couples over that time. And then we had a radio show for 2 years. And then we had a podcast show for about 2 years. And then I kind of got distracted into politics for a second. But now I'm back, and we're focused on really helping couples and really diminishing the divorce rate that is just skyrocketing like crazy. And even in the communities of faith, even in the church, there's really no difference between the divorce rate in the church and the divorce rate in the world. And that's unacceptable to us. So that's kind of like our focus.
Right. I definitely get it.
Mm-hmm.
I see it. So there is, I know as far as the younger crowd, the younger generation,
yeah,
they are, they have a problem with marriage because they kind of feel like each person, can build their own business or build their own self. Mm-hmm. Marriage used to be an agreement to where, it was two people after one goal.
Sure.
But now it seems that the younger generation or the new mindset is more so I can get it by myself.
Right.
What would you have to say to that as far as dealing with a person, significant other, or being in a marriage? What are the benefits of being in a marriage as opposed to being by yourself in business?
Yeah. Well, being in a good marriage, there's nothing that compares. Absolutely nothing. You can absolutely get it on your own and do it on your own. There's no doubt about it. You can be successful on your own. But at the end of the day, you have all this success. You're in this big house and you're in a fancy car or whatever. And if you don't have anybody to share that with, that is a recipe for just being depressed beyond measure. We have seen all kinds of successful people, couples just struggling, even single people struggling because they have all this success, but they don't really have anybody to share it with. As human beings, we're put on this planet for relationships. We're put on this planet to be a encouragement and help and connection to someone. It starts out with, you're growing up in a healthy family with a father and mother and siblings. And then it branches off into where you strike out on your own, but then you come back together with hopefully someone equally yoked, someone that has the same excitement about life as you have. And then you can share that together. I mean, there's absolutely nothing better than being in a marriage or relationship with someone who understands and you guys are working together. In fact, that's the strongest union on the planet. That, you're talking about teamwork. You have a husband and wife team that's on the same page. Nothing can stop them.
That's right. I want to take this time out to give you a minute to shout out your wife. Mm-hmm. And, if you kind of want to plug her or anything you'd like to say about her at this time.
Yeah. So my wife, Cheryl, and I we've been on this path for a while. And, we've had our moments to where it's never been a situation where we were wanted to separate anything like that. But I'm just saying, she had her path, I had my path. She's an ordained minister, so she was doing a bunch of stuff in the church and I was doing a bunch of stuff in politics. So we were kind of going our separate paths as far as work, as far as our interest, but we still had a solid marriage. But now we get a chance to come back with all that experience, all that knowledge, come back in a way that's really going to, I believe it's going to bless a lot of people, because we have had a very solid marriage, even though we were kind of on different career paths. But now we're on the same path. We're focused on putting our podcast together. I do a podcast every Wednesday called Mastering Adam. Okay. She's working on a podcast called Mastering Eve. Right. So we're kind of doing that for the men and then for the women. We're also working on a podcast and come back together for a I Am Love Builder podcast, to where it's just about relationships and marriage, and it's going over some of the stuff in our book. And then we're also launching a MVP call once a month. We're going to do this live call. We're going to have special guests on and stuff. And in fact, Rashad, I'd love to have you in as a special guest on our call, because people's lives are busy. We got a lot of stuff going on, and now with the latest news, people are anxieties are high and all this other stuff. Well, they need a place to come to at least once a month to kind of get recentered, get refocused on your relationship, get refocused on your family and your marriage. And that's what we'll do live once a month. And those calls will be recorded, and then they'll be accessible to anyone that wants to become a member of that situation.
That's awesome. That's a good idea, man. And it's something I would definitely be a part of.
Yeah.
No doubt. Mm-hmm. Because even with my marriage is fairly new, going on 4 years now.
Okay.
And the whole entire time, like, I know myself, I was an entrepreneur. She was kind of dabbling with it.
Mm-hmm.
However, she's corporate, I'm an entrepreneur, and I see how that's it's two different roads,
mm-hmm.
and they kind of don't understand one another.
Right.
And that can get difficult. That can be really difficult.
It can.
And even getting on one accord with that, you still have to structure it, like you said, like a business mm-hmm. partnership.
Yeah.
So it has to be some structure there. And I have to admit that we're still struggling with that. Mm-hmm. Because if you're coming from corporate and then you're trying to marry entrepreneur with that, there's so many different ways to look at different scenarios.
Yeah.
And, that's within the household, that's within the business. So I think coaching and someone who's been through that and can kind of relate to that, mm-hmm. that's an excellent idea to offer people for a membership once a month call.
Yeah. And in fact, your situation is exactly my situation. In other words, I'm the entrepreneurial, I don't have a corporate job. I don't like working for people.
Yeah, right.
And my wife currently has a corporate job. Now, when we first got married, I had the corporate job. She was the entrepreneur, right? She was a realtor. I had a corporate job. In fact, after we got married, she pretty much just handed me all her bills and said, "Hey, here you go. You're making the money, pay the bills." Right? But over time, what happens is those roles kind of morphed and switched to where now she's in the corporate arena and we're trying to bring her home. Right. But in the meantime, we're building this business. And had I been in a corporate environment, we wouldn't have the opportunity to build these podcasts and do all these things that we're doing. So I'm kind of like the cinder fella right now, right? So I'm at home. I'm doing the laundry, I'm cooking the meals and things like that, and making sure the home is solid, so that she can still be that corporate, make the money, but still, have a very home environment to come back to where we're not at each other's throat all the time.
I get it, man. And where you need there, communication and understanding.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as it works, and as long as there's a grand scheme, a goal, an end goal, mm-hmm. it's totally fine.
Yeah.
And that just goes along with having faith.
Yeah.
You know that it's going to come about, and what you see at the end of the road is what's going to be, what's going to become.
Yeah. And the trick is what you just said, is having a plan and having it plain, and both parties have to be on board with it. In other words, I can have all these great entrepreneurial ideas, but if she's not on board with it, it's going to be hard to really get that launched, right? So we have our goal board put together to where we both have input on it. She really does want to come home from the corporate job, so we're working on that. And in fact, I believe within the next 6 months we'll be there, because we've already things are really rock and rolling right now. With we just bought a new home, so we have boxes everywhere. But my podcast studio is set, right?
Yeah.
Boxes everywhere else.
I understand.
All right.
That's the first thing that went up.
Yeah, first thing that got put together, the podcast, because that's how we kind of generate that interest and generate that excitement, and That's how we generate the money, right? We got to
Right.
have things keep flowing. But that plan is critical, and this is where a lot of couples fail, because they don't have a plan, and then they get one person is trying to do all the entrepreneurial stuff and the other one's working, and then there's animosity that starts to build. There's they said, well, I'm making the money, what are you doing?
Right.
Well, okay, well, the plan is this and this. Now, if you have the plan, you can go back to the plan. But if you don't have the plan, that's where you run into trouble.
That's right. That's right. There has to be an understanding there that, especially at the beginning, that corporate, that check is coming every week.
Yeah.
Or every 2 weeks. With entrepreneurial aspirations, it's a roller coaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can be really good one day, really good one week, and not so good the next.
Yeah.
So that definitely has to be understood.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you have to invest, right? You have to invest in your business. You can't just, it doesn't just happen overnight. It doesn't just materialize out of thin air. You got to invest time, but you also have to invest money. We've invested thousands of dollars in getting the podcast studio put together. We've also invested thousands of dollars into getting the book published, and now the PR campaign. All those things take money. So both parties have to be on board with spending that money, and be patient enough for the return, because the return doesn't come right away either, right? It could take months, it could take years. So you have to, if you're going to be an entrepreneur or someone building business, you have to be willing to put in the sweat equity for a while to make sure that at the end of the day, things just keep moving.
That word you just said, I'm gonna build on that word, keep moving. One of the most important things, and I know this by experience, is momentum.
Yes.
And once the momentum start, like you say, if you have that plan and you're working on that plan, you're working on momentum. The ball have gotten started, you're rolling. Now, if something just so happened to come in, and I'm saying this, I say from experience, if that relationship ends, someone doesn't understand the plan or don't want to be a part of it any longer, the momentum ends. You have to start all over. So let's say you have to move out or you have to begin somewhere else. The momentum starts over. So to have that understanding at the beginning and to be able to communicate throughout that process it's just, you'll get there a whole lot faster.
Sure. Yeah, and it happened with us, and we teach this, right? But it happened with us because we launched the book in August. It was going great. We, like I said, we hit the hot new release list in August, at the beginning of August. But then we also knew that we were closing on this house, and it's a fixer-upper, right? So once we close, man, I mean, daily I'm painting and building and putting all this stuff together, working on the yard, all these things. So, it's not that we dropped the ball, but we kind of had to focus on the house, right?
Right.
And so now the house is good enough to where we can actually sleep at night. Now we're going to get geared back up again, and we got a PR campaign that's going to be happening probably in the next week or so. We're going to really be hitting it hard and doing a lot of interviews. So I'm happy we're able to connect with you, do this interview. We're going to be doing a lot more podcast interviews, radio interviews, and so forth, magazine, you name it. Going to be doing all that because you got to keep it moving, and that's how you do it.
Yes, that's it. That's crazy because I was going to ask you, what was your strategy, your growth strategy moving forward? And you just touched on that, and that's excellent. To get that book out rolling. With the book, do you offer any courses or any workshops included with the book?
Not with the book, but in the past, when we did those workshops in the past, we use other people's material. We use other books, we use other courses and so forth. This time out, we get a chance to use our materials, our book, and our courses. So we have a workbook that's going to be a companion to that book. that's going to be for the workshops. But in the meantime, those MVP calls that I was telling you, that's going to be giving us material to actually start to formulate and put together workshops. So it's a stepping stone process like you're talking about. So we had the book launch. We're going to be promoting the book and promoting the MVP calls. That's going to lead into workshops. That's going to lead into marriage retreats and going to lead into cruises, going to lead into all those things to really just have the opportunity to bring couples in either into Colorado, or maybe we go to Florida, or maybe we go to Mexico or somewhere safe, right? And we just love on couples and stuff and get them understanding this whole relationship program, because our motto is, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. And a lot of couples are not having fun. So we want to make sure we change that.
Yeah, you don't want to be stressed in a relationship and stressed in the business.
Right.
With what you just mentioned, the future, you've planted the seeds. On your website.
Yes.
Let's talk about the phases.
Yes.
That you are, because I listed on your website. I thought this was awesome. Yeah. So is this based on the nonprofit?
Not really. So we do have some nonprofit things going on, but most of our I mean, we're both Christian coaches and deacons at the church and all that stuff. So we obviously will be doing counseling with folks, and it's not really a charge to it. We just kind of do it because that's part of our church ministry. But I Am Love Builders is a we like to call it I Am Love Builders LTD, because we're going to be literally an umbrella force that's going to be doing a lot of things. So we want to set up a podcast studio. Right now, the podcast studio is in my home, but we want to have a podcast location to where we can have young entrepreneurs that don't have the resources to put the cameras and the lighting and all that stuff together. We'll have them come into our podcast studio. Sometimes we'll just give them the time and the space for free, if they're just getting started, or we may rent out that space. We'll also have space to do our workshops, so we can have 100 couple at a time, or maybe 200 couple facilities to where we can have couples come in. And then we also have event center facilities, so that when we're not doing our workshops, somebody else can do their workshop. So we want to have a building that houses that. And then we want to phase into having a retreat, probably here in Colorado, to where we have 50 plus acres, to where we can develop that and have tiny homes or cottages and stuff, to where when couples come in, they have their own little space and stuff. We can just have them immersed in that environment, because we're part of this other ministry called Shepherd's Heart. And Shepherd's Heart really focuses on ministers, pastors, preachers, and so forth, who are struggling with their relationship. And believe it or not, there's a lot of folks that are so focused on the ministry that they neglect their own personal marriage. So Shepherd's Heart, and it's free to these pastors and preachers and stuff, and they bring them in for free. They put them up, and for a 4-day intensive time frame, they just love on them and stuff and work them through it. And by the time they come out, they're a stronger couple at the end. So we want to do something like that. So we're going to partner with Shepherd's Heart, but we're also going to have our own, to where we bring in couples, and they don't have to be a minister. We're just going to bring in couples into that environment and do the same type of thing, love on them, and get them really solidified in that relationship.
I'm going to read this really quick. It's on your website.
Yes, sir.
At I Am Love Builders International, our vision is to build a community of kingdom building ambassadors all over the world. Yeah. Together with our sponsors and partners, we will build out phase 1, 2, and 3 of our vision that will include a kingdom campus with the media, ministry, training center, and much more.
Yeah.
And that's listed out. That's the goal. You have the goal of what you want to do.
Yes, sir.
And what you're going to offer. And I don't see that too often on websites. And it's clearly, has laid out what it is that you're all about.
Yeah.
I Am Love
Yeah.
Builders is all about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, our training and background is direct sales and motivational speaking. I've met and spoken to Les Brown over the years, Brian Tracy. I mean, all the giants in the industry. So a lot of that has rubbed off on me and rubbed off on my wife.
Okay.
Right. So that, we're all about setting goals and having those benchmarks and stuff. Right.
Yes, sir.
If you don't set it now, whether we reach it or not this year or next year or whatever is one thing, but you need to have it set.
Right.
Then you can start to make those steps towards it.
That's right. That's right. Much respect for that. Colorado.
Yes, sir.
Now, let me know. Will you be in the mountains? Will the retreat be in the mountains? Will it be what they call glamping involved?
Glamping.
Because if so, I'm there. Can't do camping, but I'll do glamping.
Glamping. Yes, sir. Yeah. In fact, I just came back from a men's retreat this past weekend in Copper Mountain. It's a ski resort, but during the off season, it's wide open. They don't have a lot of activities going on, and they love to have people come in. So sort of pricing is better because obviously ski season is just crazy.
Right.
But when it's non-ski season, you still get the enjoyment of being in the mountains. You can go hiking, fishing, whatever. But we're staying in a condo, right? So it's a very comfortable situation, to where you're not in the elements. I mean, unless you really want to be in the elements, you can.
Right.
But that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to have an environment where everybody's comfortable. So most of our retreats, at least here in Colorado, will be in the mountains. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested. So, Casper, I want to thank you for coming on today. This was a really interesting topic, and we can see that you are passionate about what you're doing. You're not just talking about it, you're going through it, you're living it. That's what we do here on the Millionaire by Morning. It's not just, something that was catchy that I came up with. I truly believe that if, you set a goal and you continue being momentous, continue being motivated, you'll pick up the momentum that you need to become, if it is a millionaire, or if it is just waking up in the morning feeling like a millionaire.
Yeah.
That's what we need. That's what we want. If you look good, you feel good. You feel good, there's no telling what you can do in life.
Amen. Amen. Well, that's what I like even about the title, because sometimes somebody might look at that Millionaire by Morning and think it's like a overnight success kind of thing, but it's a mindset, millionaire mindset overnight. That can happen instantly. And then you can start to build on that. And you start to plug into people who have that same mindset. And, I always joke with people because I'm trying to hang out with multimillionaires because I want to get to where they're at, right? But they're trying to hang out with, with billionaires. So everybody's trying to hang out with the next level to get to that next level, right? So, but in the beginning, we've got to change our shift our mind into a more, I lost my word for it, but you just have to be pointed in the right direction. I always say you can change your direction overnight, and your direction determines your destination.
That's right. That's right. And with what you just said, as far as the mindset goes, the coach won't come until you're ready.
Right.
They won't show up until you're ready. So once you get that mindset, like you said, overnight, you can start thinking a whole different set of thoughts. It can go in a totally different direction.
Yeah. Yeah. And the last thing I want to leave your folks with is that if you want to become something, you need to chase after it. Okay. In other words, if you want to become a millionaire, find out where the millionaires are hanging out and hang out there. They're not going to come to you and say, "Hey, Casper, can we make you a millionaire today?" No, that's not how it works, right? You've got to engage. You've got to take the action to go where they're at, to listen to what they're listening to follow their activity, because I'm not going to slow down so that I can, so somebody, I'm not going to slow down and turn around so that I can pull somebody up. Now, if they come to me, then I'll lock arms with them and we'll go
Right.
together.
Right.
But I'm not going to slow down because that just pulls me back, right? I'm
Yeah.
going to keep going.
I like how you just phrased that. I've never heard it put that way. I like how you just phrased that.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna end on that, man, because that was profound.
Amen.
All right, Casper, you have a good night. Tell Cheryl I said hi. Much success to you both moving into the future. And any information that you have for retreats or calls or memberships, send them over to me, man. I'll definitely put them on the comments for anyone else that's listening to this as well.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Rashad. I appreciate you.
All right, man. You have a good night.
You too.
All right.
All right.